In this video, I'll be teaching you guys how to make player interactions. So before we get into this, make sure to like and subscribe and comment down below what tutorials you would like to see next. Also, make sure you guys join my Discord server. You have a whole bunch of things you can do there, and I have an amazing community that you guys can come join. And let's quit stalling and get straight into the video. Before we get started, I made most of the circuits for you guys, so you guys can go ahead and pause the screen right now and copy all these circuits and place them into your game. And once you're finished copying all these, you can unpause the video and continue. All right, first thing we got to do is connect it all together. So we're going to get to our get all players, and this is going to connect to our list get count. And the count on the list get count is going to connect to our A value on our greater than. And you're going to click this B value and set it to 1. Now you're going to connect the result of the greater than to the condition of the if. The then output on the if is going to connect to the closest player variable. Also, this is a player variable. I just named it closest, and I recommend that you do the same. And the output of the closest is going to the list remove item first. Now, this get local player will connect to the origin on the get closest. The target on our list remove item first will be connected to the output of the closest player variable. And make sure you switch this invalid player to local player. By doing this, you just go to your connect tool and click it, and you can switch it back and forth. I forgot to mention that this is a player list variable. It's not a regular player variable, it's a player list variable. The reason why we had this list removed item first is that this variable is getting all players in a room, which means it's also including you. And you do not want to give yourself an interaction. You want to give it to the other players in the room. So by doing this, we remove ourselves from the list so that instead of us getting an interaction, it gives it to other players. Now, the input of the list is going to the output of the get all players. Now, the targets on our get closest chip is going to connect to the output of our closest list. Now, the closest output is going to connect to the input of this player closest variable. This is a regular player variable, and I renamed it to player closest. So you can go ahead and add that here. So the output of the list remove item will go to the input of the player closest variable. The output on our player closest will go to the other variable called closest. Now, this is another player variable, and it's not like your other player variable named closest. This is a regular player variable. It is not a list. So we have 3 different player variables. We have the player variable list, the player variable player closest, and the closest player variable. These 2 are regular variables. This is a list variable. I just wanted to go over that because it could be confusing for some people. So both of these outputs on the player closest will go to the input on the closest, and the output on the closest will go to the input of the local player enable interaction with target player, just like this. Now, the required hold duration pretty much tells you how long you have to hold down the player interaction for it to interact with the player. And the prompt is a text that will display when you hover over the player interaction. So for the required hold duration, I'm going to set that value to 1. And then the prompt, I'm going to set it to interact. We have a couple of more circuits to do, so just stay with me, trust me. So first things first, I'm going to open up my MakerPen and get a event definition. I'm going to go ahead and place it to the side right here. Now I'm going to name this started interaction. Click submit so that the name saves. Now we're going to come down to the add new property, and the name for this is going to be targeted player. And then underneath type, you can see this little bar. You're going to click it, and you're going to scroll down until you see player. Then you're going to click add property. Now you can see you have the targeted player on your event definition. We're going to copy this event definition 2 times. I'm going to rename the second one to completed interaction. So you can go ahead and do that now. And then I'm going to name this last and third one to canceled interaction. Just like that. Now we have our event definitions. Going to spread them out. Now you're going to go back to your MakerPen menu, and you're going to search up a chip called player definition board. And it should show up right here. And you go ahead and place that down. You're going to click edit on your MakerPen and then click on your player definition board. Now you can see in and out. That doesn't really matter. So I'm going to put these to the side. Just like that. So player definition boards pretty much make your event receivers a whole lot better. I'm going to place down a event receiver. I'm going to configure it, and I can click on the select event, and you can see the player definition board gives event receivers a whole bunch of different player interactions. So you have global explosion hit player, health changed, all this different kind of stuff. But what we're looking for is the local player completed interaction. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that, and you can see it shows up right here. Now I'm going to put in a event sender. Configure that event sender to the completed interaction that we have made over here. Then I'm going to connect the inputs to the outputs. Just like that. So I'm going to move these two up. You can see that we have two other player definitions that we did not use. We have the started interaction and canceled interaction. The most important one was the completed interaction. However, if you want to see when a player started an interaction or canceled an interaction, you can copy and paste these two circuits twice. I'm going to configure this event receiver. Scroll down until you see local player started interaction. You can also use the search bar if you'd like. Configure my event sender and change it to started interaction. And then with our third event receiver, we're going to configure it and then scroll until we see local player canceled interaction. Configure the third event sender and then change the event to canceled interaction and then connect them like so. Now we're going to click done so that we're no longer inside of our player definition board. So if I come over here to my event receiver, I can go ahead and place it right here. And you can see we have all of our events that we've made. So the canceled interaction, completed interaction, and our started interaction. So I'm going to go ahead and just set our event receivers to each of the events we've made. So this top one will be completed interaction. The second one will be canceled interaction. And then the third one is the started interaction. None of this will work unless you activate your player definition board. So I'm going to go ahead and configure my player definition board. And you can see there's an option where it says active, and you're going to turn that on. And now that our definition board is on, these three event receivers will update. Now for this video, I'm just going to make it so whenever you interact with a player, I'm going to make it show the player's information. So we're going to click our player account get details, place it down right here. I'm going to get a player show subtitle. Then I'm going to get a string format, just like this. Now we're going to get three values on this player account get details. We're going to get their display name, account name, and how many subscribers they have. Which means on the string format, we have to have three values. So on my string format, I'm going to add two inputs. This makes it so I have three values. So I'm going to get the display name connected to the first value, get the account name connected to the second value, and now I'm going to get a toString. Place it down right here. Connect the subscribers to the value of the toString, and the result will go to the last and final value. This toString basically just converts the number of your subscribers into a string. And now we can click on this format, and now we can do a little bit of coding here. So if you click Shift, bracket, 0, Shift, other bracket, you can see it leaves you with this little thing. This represents your index 0, and the first value of a format always starts with 0. So this 0 inside of a bracket represents this first value on the string format because this first value is index 0. I'm going to get the first index. I'm going to spread them out. I'm going to click Shift and this little line, space, bracket 1, bracket, space, little line, space, bracket 2, bracket. Now what this is doing is showing our first value, second value, and third value because this is index 0, index 1, and index 2. Now the result of our string format can go to the subtitle on our player show subtitle, and we can organize it a little bit. Bada bang, bada boom. So we're going to get a get player account by name. Bring it over here. Then we're going to get a get player account name. And then the targeted player on your completed interaction goes to the player on the get player account name. And the player name will go to the account name on your get player account by name. The output on your event receiver will go to the input of your get player account by name. The player account will go to the player account here. And the complete will go to your player show subtitle. So essentially what we're doing is that we're getting the player's account name that we interacted with. Then we're setting it through this player account get details so we can get the player's details, which puts it through the string format into the player show subtitle. And that leaves us with these two event receivers. Now you do not have to use these event receivers, but I'm going to use them just an example to show you guys what they do. So I'm going to copy and paste this player show subtitle twice. Spread out the event receivers, then connect them like this. So this subtitle will say canceled interaction, just like that. And this second player show subtitle, I'll make it say started interaction, just like that. Now I'm going to go to my update 1 Hz event receiver down here and connect it to the if. If you don't know how to get this update 1 Hz event receiver, you can put in a fresh event receiver, configure it, go to the search bar and click 1 Hz. And you can find it right here. One mistake I made is that the player on the player show subtitle, I'm making this appear to the player that was interacted with. So instead, I'm just going to disconnect these two to make sure it's the local player, which is me, so that this will show for me and not the player that was targeted. So you can see here, I have my alt account, and you can see I can now fully interact with the other player. Now, when I hold down initially, it will say started interaction, and then when I stop holding him, it will say canceled interaction. So you can see here, started interaction, canceled interaction. However, if I fully finish the interaction, you can see it shows the player details. I'm actually going to set the duration of this to go longer. So I'm going to set this to 10. Once again, I'll see the player's details. The first thing is his display name. The second thing is his account name. And the third thing is how many subscribers he has. And of course, if you don't want the started and canceled interaction, you can just straight up delete all of this or just unconnect it like that. Then when I interact with him again, it doesn't appear and it'll only show the player's information. All of this is just an example of what you can do with these interactions. So you can disconnect these and do anything else with this. So if you want a player to teleport when you interact with them, you can get a set position and set the player's position to a certain spot. I just gave you guys an example of how you can use player interactions. Alright, if you guys did learn something from that video, comment down below and also like and subscribe. I have more tutorials like this on my channel, so go ahead and click on my profile and watch other tutorials if you'd like. With that being said, I'll see you guys next time.